Is the government your God? Hello, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Dyer, the host of Unleash Your Christ Confidence. In these past few weeks, we've been discussing the artificial ways that we bring other gods into our life. And thinking of the government as God, it just sounds absolutely crazy, right? I mean, we've got Republicans and Democrats, and all they're doing is fighting. And who wants to worship one of them? Yet the government as a whole has been worshipped at many times throughout history. If we go back and we look at the Egyptians, they worshiped the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh was considered God, and he was, quote unquote, to me, the government. He was the man in charge there, and he often didn't want what was best for all of his people. He wanted what was best for himself. And that becomes a scary place to live, unless you're the Pharaoh. And only one person was. And then when they died, the people that helped get him to his tomb, they died right along with him. In their culture, that might have been a great honor, but that was not honoring the one true God. And you may think, well, that was a long time ago, and there's no way we would do that today. But let's take a look at World War II and what was happening then. How many people were worshiping the government without even realizing that's what they were doing? So it was neighbor against neighbor. You wanted to turn them in. If you were helping the Jews in Germany, ooh, your neighbor might find out and turn you in. They're going to get rewarded for that, and you're likely to get the death penalty. And when we worship the government, then whatever policies they decide, that's what we live by. Who cares if it targets a particular group, harms other people? As long as it's doing what's best for us, right? I mean, like, we're the what's important. As long as the government's helping us, we'll let it do whatever. I mean, why not have the government force your neighbor to get a vaccine? So what if they're not sick? So what if they probably won't get sick? So what if they won't make you sick? Is it okay? What if it will harm them? Are you still going to say, but I don't want them to be able to harm me? At what point do we draw the line? See, people have always needed some form of governance, some type of rules to keep us able to live together with minimal conflict, and to have certain guidelines. God originally created the Ten Commandments, and eventually Israel asked for a king. They wanted a person in place of God there to tell them what to do. They wanted one person to be the intercessor. And I'm not saying they worshiped the king as God, don't get me wrong, but they wanted one person there to be that intercessor in between. And you think, well, we don't have a king in this country. I don't worship my representative. I may not even know who my representative is. I may even go on voting day and do any, mini, money, mo. Say, I don't know anybody. I don't like any of them. Or I would vote for everyone and I'm not sure. But how many times have people got behind one particular candidate or another and almost got them to the level of worship? And during COVID, I learned that in Canada, there was 30% of the people that were more than willing to turn their neighbor in. 30%. They're spy on their neighbor? Turn their neighbor in? For what? For going to church? For having somebody over to their house? How much do we let fear come in and look to the government instead of God to fix the problem? See, government will never fix our problems. The government is an entity of many people who are typically looking out for themselves, not for you and not for me. Most of them, and I'm not saying all of them, are not looking out for the greater good. Yes, we got a handful out there that I believe do, but those people are few and far between. Most of the people I see in office, I see that they've been there a really long time, and they've taken out a whole lot of money. It seems like they've gotten very, very rich while they've been in office, many of them. And to what point have they served? Have they served their people, or have they served themselves? Worshipping the government is a very slippery slope to fall into. We need a government, we need some regulations, but they should be in alignment with what God says we're supposed to do if we want God to bless our country and all the people in it. So where are you at in this spectrum? Are you always obeying every law? Are you looking to the government to lead you, or are you praying and praying over the leaders that are in place, whether you voted for them or not, whether you like them or not? It's something to reflect on today, because there's no doubt the government would be happy to be our God. It'd be happy for us to believe that it was our provider, for it to believe that it was all-knowing, for it to believe that it had the right answers and that we should follow it. But I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in that world either. I want to keep God on the throne, the one true God, and follow him, and as he leads me, so shall I go. And as he leads me, I shall be able to live at peace with my neighbor, even if I don't agree with him. And I should be able to do what is fair and right for all, not just for myself, if I put God's law first. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Unleash Your Christ Confidence. I hope this has given you something to think about today. What place does the government have in your life? Join me again next week for another episode. And if Italy is on your bucket list, join us this September for the Christ Confidence Conference in beautiful Italy, where we will be spending a total of 11 days on the trip and 9 full days in the country, 3 enjoying Rome, 3 along the coast, and 3 in Tuscany enjoying the wonderful food. I hope that you can join us for this life-changing trip. And if you'd like more information, please reach out and get in touch. We only have a few spots left. So join us